Welcome to Code Creative. I'm Travis Tolson.
And I'm Sarah Tolson. I get to introduce myself. Hey.
You stole it.
Or are you trying to introduce me? I take back my power.
I'm here for
it. So anyways, we're going to do things tonight. What are we doing, Travis?
So tonight we're going to continue the Mothership build out. Specifically, we're going to be dealing with the place ship command in Flow Designer, I think is the direction I'm going to steer this one.
More Flow Designer?
More Flow Designer.
Okay.
So let's see here. I'm going to share my screen real quick and kind of walk through what we've got going on. So I've got like somebody else's battleship game up here.
Mm-hmm.
And so, part of the game, of course, is placing your own ships on the grid. You can't start shooting at each other until the ships are placed. And so basically the style that we're going to go with is you can kind of see it here, where as I move the cursor, what I refer to as the head cell of the ship follows the cursor. And so this particular approach of placing a ship requires three things. Well, four things, really. It requires the X and Y placement of the head cell. It requires the direction of the ship, so I can rotate it.
Yeah.
Now, this one only supports down and to the right. Ours is going to support all the way around.
Oh, fancy.
So basically, you've got the X coordinate and Y coordinate of the head cell. You have the direction that the tail is pointed in. And then you have the configuration of the ship itself, which we already have that set up. When we go into our ship sets, you can see that we have the Death Star already defined.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where our X and Y offsets come in. So basically, this configuration says that our Death Star, from our source cell or from our head cell, which is 0, 0, the other occupied cells of the ship are going to be one cell to the right, no cells moved in the vertical direction. It's going to be the cell to the right and down. I think that might actually be up. I may have to invert some of these numbers. And then one of them will be the same X, but shifted one cell to the Y. So basically, this configuration, the ship occupies 4 cells, and they are in a square, basically with the head cell being one of the corner slots of that square. And so essentially, that is how we will calculate the position of all the occupied cells for that ship.
We're going to have to do math tonight.
We are.
I like math and I like algebra and the graphing and all that, so this works for me. But
so basically, if you think of the game board as a 2-dimensional array, we've got our X coordinates going across and our Y coordinates up and down. So basically, this would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That would be the index in the array. And likewise, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So basically, you'll have an array of arrays where each of the cells inside that second array is basically the cell of the game board, if that kind of makes sense. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, sort of. Might have zoned out a little bit there.
So let me pull up a JS Fiddle real quick, and I'll.
What is
So
JS Fiddle exactly for those of us that did not grow up in Cody land?
it's just a sandbox for HTML, JSS, or HTML, CSS, and JS.
Okay.
So you can basically think of the game board as an array of arrays. Cell 0, 1, and basically what you'll have is an object in here that has an X coordinate
and a Y
coordinate. Whether or not there's a ship in this cell, and you'll have multiple of these. So like this one would be there. Then you would have Y0, X1, Y0, X2.
So it creates this array to show what is in each spot on the board to kind of put
right. So then this would be Y1. And so what you end up with is your board. Your board is an array of rows. I think that's how I did it last time. It's an array of rows, and each object inside the row represents a cell on the game board.
Okay.
And so basically this is 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4. I don't know. Now I've actually got that backwards because this would be the X coordinate. So it would actually be, this would be your X0. So 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, 0, 5, 0, 6, 0, 7, 0, 8, 0, 9, 0. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
And so if I put a ship in 0, 0, then the Death Star is also going to occupy, based on its configuration,
1, 0.
It'll be 0, 0, 0, 0 plus 1, 1. So that would be 1, 1. 0, 0 plus 1, 0. So that would be 1, 0. 0, 0 plus 0, 0. The cell it's in. And then 0, 0 plus 0, 1. And that's how you will get the 4 cells that this ship occupies. So you have to calculate based off of the head cell's position. You shift it in the X direction, you shift it in the Y direction, and that's the cell that's occupied.
And we're going to do the logic for that in Flow Designer. Oh, we got to put up the ticker.
Yay.
We got to put up the ticker because it's going to be a low code situation. Oh, I love my tickers.
All right. Are you ready?
Nope. But I don't have much of a choice. So let's do it.
All right. So I'm going to turn this over to you.
Hang on, I gotta take my watch off for this because we're gonna get serious. So like last time was Flow Designer, and the flows showed some of the logic in creating the if and the else statement, but they were pretty simple. We're getting a little more.
We have to do some calculations here, so we're going to need some variables.
I have a dog digging into my carpet. See his little fluffy tail right there? But anyway, so are we going back to the same subflow, or is this a different subflow?
You're going to have to create a new subflow.
I'm going to guess we do it like this. Subflow.
Yep.
All right. Look at there. What are we going to name this? We're going to name this
Mothership dash. Place ship.
We want it all one word.
I do it as 2 words. You don't need dashes. You don't need this should be user readable. This is not like machiney. This is no. Mothership space dash space place space ship. You can look at the original subflow and get a sense for the naming.
I am sorry. Tonight is going to be a very yeah.
That's okay. Yes.
I was yelled at this morning by a small child.
This is not machiney.
That's what I was getting ready to put in here. There. All right. Let's make a subflow.
All right. Let's do it.
Fix that later if you feel like it. All right. So are we going to ignore the input for now, or are we actually going to put an input?
So we do need an input, and it's going to be the game command record.
That's a little scary.
I think on the join game one, I think I just named it game command. Yep. And then you'll need to change the type to a reference to the game command table.
Look at me go.
And make that one mandatory. There you go.
All right. Anything else you need to put?
No outputs for now.
Okay.
We may go back and change that later, but
that's future Sarah's problem.
Exactly.
Okay. So now we got to do something with that input. That's what our actions are.
Right. Now, just because there's a certain pattern that we're going to reuse over and over and over again with these commands, the first thing that we have to do is we have to update our game command record to set the state to in process, or to set the state to processing. We need to mark it as, hey, we're doing something with this.
That's an action.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be update record.
Yep.
Then we're going to update a game command record, right?
Yep. That specific one, in fact.
Okay. Are there any certain fields we're going to be updating?
Yep. We want to update the state to processing.
That's right. You said that. You're going to have to re-say that.
That's okay.
Brain not working. You choose to do this at night knowing that I am out of spoons already. So I guess it increases.
To be fair, I do offer you the choice beforehand on whether you want to drive or not.
This will actually keep me more engaged. This is the ADHD, but this keeps me way more engaged. And as we have discussed, like one of the reasons I like driving is because you have to more blatantly walk me through the process, which means when people watch us later, they are being more blatantly walk through the process and everything. So I like it. It's just a little terrifying. Wait, where did my thing? Oh, there it is. Okay, so there's my action. We're setting the state to processing on the game record.
So now our command is being processed, and we'll be able to see that that it's doing its thing. Now let's see. In order to place a ship, so this
I imagine
command,
it's going to create a game command record, isn't it?
Hmm?
I imagine it will create a new game command record.
No, only players create game command records. Basically, the UI, the player will do something in the UI that will create a game record or a game command record, and then the flows we're doing will process the rest.
Okay.
Basically, what we need to do is we have to, and I'm going to take back the view real quick. So basically, when we place a ship, let's say we place the Death Star, we're going to provide a reference to the ship being placed.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to provide the X and Y coordinate that the user clicked to put it in, and the orientation of the ship when it was placed. Based on that, we will then take this information
Mm-hmm. And calculate out what other cells have that particular ship in it.
For each ship cell. This will be the basic logic. For each ship cell, calculate because these are basically relative coordinates.
Mm-hmm.
So based on each ship cell's relative coordinates and the X and Y provided in the command, calculate the cell that should be occupied, and then create that record on, we have a table, I think it's called game cells.
Yeah.
So for each of these, we will calculate the game cell and put the ship in that cell. We'll state that that cell is occupied by that ship. But there's one twist to it, and that's that if in the course of this command, if we find a cell that's already occupied, then we have to delete all of the cells for that player containing that ship and basically throw it as an error flag.
You have to back it all out because they can't
Right.
place the ship there.
Right. Yep. And exactly. And that's to check for the collisions with other ships.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the caveat that we will have to throw in this. So with that, I will turn back over to you. So with that, I think that the first thing we need to do is query that that ship cell table. And
What does that look like? That's not updating or creating a record.
That's going to be lookup records. And this is just your glide record type behaviors again.
That'll be on the game cell table, you said?
Yeah. Or no, ship cell. Ship cell's the configuration of it is the relative coordinates, and game cell is the actual place on the board.
Okay.
All right. So we want to look up
for the given ship that they've selected, right?
On the game command record, yes. So we'll be looking up what's the name of the field? Ship. So where the ship field is, and then we want to use our data pill to get the ship that is on the game command record.
So from the subflow?
Yep. And there should be like a ship or something in there.
Yep.
There it is.
Okay. So far, so good.
So that should give us a list of all the cells.
Mm-hmm.
If multiple records are found, we need to change that option because we don't want just. Oh, so your current action selected is lookup record.
Oh, we want lookup records.
Right, because we need all of them.
Oh, that's an important distinction.
Yeah,
we talked about this last time, but seeing it in practice.
They have slightly different behaviors to them. And unfortunately, as you can see, that the inputs for them are not compatible with each other. So you can't just switch from one to the other and expect it to hold the configuration, which is kind of frustrating sometimes, but.
No, not that. Hang on. Try again. Click the little button. And then it was ship. There we go. All right. So then.
Okay. So. I don't think order matters.
We're not going to have a ship that big.
I think that's all we need for that.
Okay. So we're looking up the ship cell.
So that's going to give us our list of ship cell records. And so now we have to iterate through those records. This is basically like your glide record while loop. And you'll find that under flow logic.
Yep. For each?
You got it.
Okay, for each item, for each ship cell record?
Yep.
I love this data pill. For each of these ship cell records, we're going to do a thing. So,
yep.
What
and
is
so
that thing?
you'll notice that, like, just like the if blocks last time, it gives you like that little stub, that little indented plus sign stub down at the bottom.
Yeah, for each of those.
And then you've got the plus sign on the main branch,
which is a completely different. Neat that
and
they
if you want to get really fancy,
your code.
If you want to get really fancy, you can turn around and up in the top right area, there's a view with two icons. You can actually switch it to like a flow diagram.
Oh, did I just erase all our work doing that?
Go back to the previous one. Hopefully not.
I did not. Okay, I did not. That's okay.
I'm not sure why it did that.
Okay. We might have to play with that some more later.
Yeah.
Because that's basically like a diagram view of it.
Yep.
That's cool.
All right. So now we're iterating through each item, and this is where things get messy.
Can't get nice messy in this nice clean UI. That's a good point. Kevin says maybe the flow diagram only renders if it's saved or published.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering about. We'll play with that. So here's the thing. If the math on this was not complicated enough already, in that you have to add the offset to the cell, to the head cell that was clicked, the direction performs a transformation on it.
Okay.
So
what do you mean by that?
Okay.
Like it does, like it multiplies or it subtracts or it does something to it to indicate the change direction.
So yeah, so basically, if I go back to our battleship game here, so in the downward direction, if I have a 0, 1 for my offsets, then that will be applied in the downward direction. So I'll add 0, and I'll add 0 to X, and I'll add 1 to Y. But if my direction is up, then my Y is no longer added, it is subtracted.
Yeah.
And so depending on whether you do up, down, left, or right, it will actually change whether you are adding or subtracting, and to and from which value. So basically, what we will have to do is we will need a flow variable, and we're going to have to calculate these flow variables.
Wait, what's a flow variable? We haven't talked about that yet.
So a flow variable is essentially just like a variable in your glide record scripts. It's just like doing a var x equal to, and then you can set those variables later. Basically, it defines some value that you can change and manipulate without having to update records.
Oh, okay. So it kind of gives you like a scratch board where you can put stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And in fact, it bears a lot of similarity. You mentioned Scratchboard. Scratchpad is the actual official name for that workflows used back in the day.
So
it's a very similar concept to that.
You want to know a secret?
Hmm.
I have like never used the glide scratch pad thing.
Oh, the G scratch pad?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I've never used it. How bad of a developer am I for that?
Honestly, that one doesn't come up often.
I kind of consider it like the that portal for the SP config portal. Like you can use it and it's there, but like
When you need it, it's usually pretty obvious that you need it, but the rest of the time it's just there hiding and being ignored.
lurking.
Um but all right.
So
So,
how do we do this whole flow variable thing?
okay. So what you need to do is you got to click the triple dot.
Triple dot, not the triple dot. This triple dot. Sorry, that is a reference to a
Don't do
really
it,
old
Jimmy.
video. What's the name of that video? It's a World of Warcraft video.
I just remember it's Jimmy.
Yeah, it's about Jimmy, and it's a World of Warcraft
World of
video,
Warcraft
like,
story. I think
when
it's Jimmy.
Burning
World of
Crusade came
Warcraft
out.
story.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Epics. Sorry. Anytime anybody talks about like stories and epics, that's all I hear. So y'all got to go watch that video. But anyway, so triple dot. Now what?
Down to flow variables.
How did you even know to look there? I would have absolutely ignored that. Or create a new one.
Yep. Create a new one. And coordinate X. And that one should be an integer, and then create another one for coordinate Y.
No. All right. Anything else?
Let's see. We'll have ship, we'll have X, we'll have Y. I think that'll do.
Oh, we can always go back and make more.
I think that'll do. All right. Well, hopefully. So in some of the versions of Flow Designer, I've had quirks where like if you try to add one, it erases all of them, and you have to start doing it over again. It's quirky.
Well,
I don't know if it's still quirky in the current version, and hopefully we don't have to find out.
Okay.
All right.
So we created our flow variables for the X and Y coordinate.
So then go ahead and hit the flow logic down there.
I knew you were going to say that.
And there should be one that's like set variable or set flow variable. Okay, hit that little plus sign, and then we can select coordinate X, and then we're going to use a script on this one. Oh, let's see. I actually have to look this one up a bit. Transformation. Okay.
Sorry, you left me with a place to comment stuff. You like how I use like CSS?
Sadly, this one I think is going to require at the. I don't know. Let me think about this. I wonder if there's a way we could use decision tables for this.
Oh, decision tables. I know somebody at ServiceNow that would be very happy to see us use decision tables.
Let's see. Do we want to be productive or do we want to explore?
Yes.
All right.
We could do the productive way and then explore to show the straightforward thing. That way, if somebody just wants to get it working, They don't have to like, they can like skip over the part while we're exploring.
Well, so basically the what we would end up doing here is we would end up setting up like either a switch or an if condition. And yeah, Kevin's got the right idea here. So basically, we would have to set up a switch statement or a set of if conditions that checked the direction.
Okay.
So, and the direction would come from the command. So, if the direction is down, return the calculation for that scenario. And so I'm going to share my screen real quick because there's a couple of rules around this. So basically, what we're dealing with is X and Y coordinate transformations, which hilariously is what our son was working on in
This year
his
in
algebra class last year. So,
yep.
but so
Well,
basically,
tell them, see, math is important in some jobs. It'll scare them away from ServiceNow development for good.
So basically, what happens is our X and Y coordinates during the rotation change. So basically, we calculate the original coordinate and then we apply the rotation transformation to it. But in this code, it's a little bit quirky because we're calculating X and Y. So basically, if we are, if we're rotated, and again, I have to remember how the rotations actually work in this to determine what right is and up is and left is. But basically what we would have to do is we'd have to determine what math needs to be applied to that coordinate for each one. Does it subtract Y? Does it subtract X? How does that actually work? Oh, that's fancy.
Do we want to be fancy? We can be fancy.
Let's see. You could use a decision table to determine which subflow to execute the algorithm you wanted to apply and call it in a dynamic subflow action. Oh,
that sounds cool. Sounds elegant.
That's schmancy.
Mm-hmm. We should do it because Kevin said so.
Let's start working down that direction. So let's scrap the set flow variable for now. Let's delete that one.
Hang on. This calls for a thing.
Yes.
And you can turn it off. What do you want me to do to delete this flow variable thing?
Yeah, delete the set flow variable for now.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead and save this. Just save it where it is, just so that...
Is that publish, or is there like a separate save?
For save.
Is that like a new Jedi ability that Disney came up with? I'm funny. Serious ServiceNow development stuff. Cough, cough.
All right. So I'm going to be honest. I've never done decision tables before. I watched some of LH's session last time.
Do we need to hand this over to you so you can plunk around with it and figure it out?
I can if you want, unless you want to explore. Like, if you feel more comfortable handing it to me, I'll dive in.
I'm happy for you to do the exploratory stuff.
Okay.
I would probably sit here.
Since we have no idea what we're doing, you're happy to let me look like I don't know what I'm doing. Got it.
It's your brand and your stream. I'm just here to be technical support.
Well, I mean, I don't know what I'm doing, so at least this will be a very accurate portrayal.
Well, I mean, that's like, I mean, come on, even the ServiceNow dev advocates, it's like what makes live code happy hour so amazing.
So if I had to guess, I would think it was in flow logic, and I'm guessing it's make a
Make a
decision.
decision.
It
I'm
feels
gonna look it up in the docs while you're doing that.
okay. So we have a decision table. Are we gonna have a problem because you have it open and I have it open?
I mean, like, I can close it. There you go. I'll close it.
Okay.
It says, wait, it says changes may not be saved. Are we like, okay?
Yeah, because you did the force save.
Okay.
All right. So
Every time you say that, I'm like, I'm a Jedi.
so let's see. Let's see what this does. Decision table. Choose coordinate calculation.
Okay.
We'll start with that and we can change that later if we need to. Plus.
Okay, so apparently there's a separate thing called decision builder.
I think it's an opening, but I'm not sure. I don't know what happened. Okay, so we got a new decision table coming up. What did I call it? Choose coordinate calculation. Determines which coordinate transformation to apply when placing a ship.
Oh, you have like actual descriptions. I was like, whatever.
I did notice that.
I only do that stuff to bug you because it's your application and you're dumb enough to give me admin privileges in your instance.
That developer was playing Galaga. She didn't think we would notice, but we did.
Hey, Galaga's like, it's one of my favorite games.
All right, so direction is going to be a choice list. Reference an existing. I believe this is going to be on the game command table. And direction. Okay. God, this is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Add condition column. We'll get to you. Direction, coordinate x will be an integer. Well, if I'm... No, I don't think I need to pass coordinate x and coordinate y to this because I'm selecting...
You don't need to have it to base off of?
Well, I'm trying to figure this out here. So, like, so the result...
This is where it's really like Code Creative Live. The result being an integer, because you're ultimately trying to give like a set of coordinates, right? Or I could be wrong. You do you.
Well, I'm trying to determine if I... Let's see. One option could be an integer if we can do the calculation in the result column, which I don't know if we can. And Kevin says the result can be a flow record. Do you know if it can be a subflow record, Kevin? Because I think we would want to execute a subflow on that.
He says a subflow is good. That's the way I'm looking at.
All right. So just real quick, I want to see if
your brain is cranking. I can see it.
My brain is hurting.
I see. So we would connect like a subflow, and that's where the logic would live.
So it does. So like it. Yeah, so there's no script. I don't see any scripting in here, so it doesn't look like I would be able to do the XY computations directly in here. It looks like we would have to do the subflow approach. So the result column would be the I don't know. Let's see how this works. So I guess that would be a reference to a subflow. Would it be a flow?
I don't have subflow in there?
Are subflows listed on the flow table?
Sys hub flow. Yes, they are.
Okay. So that would be this one up here. So calculations would be in the actual dynamic subflow, but selecting the subflow can be done from the decision table. You're saving yourself 4 if blocks by doing it this way. Right. So let me check something in the subflowiness for each call. Dynamic flow, get flow outputs, set flow variables. Just out of curiosity, what kind of stuff can we do here? Toggle scripting. So to some degree, it looks like no matter what, we're going to have to do some kind of scripting unless there's like, is there addition and subtraction in here?
Kevin is bringing all the knowledge on Flow Designer and decision tables.
Dynamic flow lets you pass the result of the decision table as a flow record reference. Right. So that would be the dynamic flow action here. The thing I'm trying to figure out right now is if I do a subflow to do the calculation, like let's say that I pass the x coordinate and the offset. How do I add those numbers together aside from a script? Because it feels like I'm going to end up doing... It feels like what I'm going to end up doing in the subflow will end up being just this anyway, in order to add integer fields can do inline calculations too. Integer fields can do inline calculations too. So like
simple
in
math.
my mind, I'd have to assign a subflow output of some kind. And it would need to be an integer. But then wouldn't I still need a script for that calculation?
Did you look under the transform
To
function?
add or subtract calculations. Functions in the field. So
what I found was these simple math transform functions.
Okay, so all right, so if I've got this right, then basically I can use just using flow variables as the example here. Basically, I should be able to turn around and use coordinate x and then function
See, Sarah's got it.
math
Sarah's checked the docs.
add.
There it is. You found it.
Go
You
away,
did
errors.
it. You did it. You did
We
it.
did it. Yeah, we did it. And then
One of our children, I won't say whom, had quite the fixation on Dora the Explorer at one point in time. So we have all the songs memorized.
would I be able to? Well, obviously not that.
Okay, I'm kind of seeing this come together. So you use the decision table to pick which of the subflows it's going to take. And then that way, and then you do the transform functions in each of these little subflows to do the calculation. The limitation to those transform functions is you can only add a hard-coded integer value to your data pail.
Yes.
Kevin, you picked the right night to show up. Okay.
So that's not going to work for us then, because we have to add two we have to add our input here to our cell value. So if you need to add one number to another number arbitrarily, you need to do it as a loop. So basically I would have just to avoid code. Whew.
I lost my chat window. Where is it? There it is. Found it. Or you could script it. I think we need to learn to use the low code tool.
Well, the thing that we're running into with the low code tool approach is that the data transformations that we're looking to do, it doesn't really support.
So we're going to have to script it.
At some point, I think we're going to have to script it.
Okay. But we could still use a decision table. That'd be a good upgrade for the future if you're listening, ServiceNow.
Yeah.
Transform functions to take a data pill.
Yeah, that would be killer. Now, and like to Kevin's point, I think that there is a way that we could do this in low code, but it would require some funky things. So like I saw a sum transformation in there, which means theoretically, if we could use low code to build an array of the two numbers we needed to add, then we could sum that array together and return that value. The problem is that it's going to require a lot of engineering effort to figure out all of those little subflows that will then build up to the bigger one. And we're just not going to need them that often.
So you think this is one of those situations where it would be a simpler approach to do the script?
I think so.
But you can still use the decision table. Womp womp. That was definitely...
Well, I mean, unfortunately, I kind of can't use the decision table in this case because the decision table doesn't really do a calculation. I'd be trying to return a subflow. Now, I could, but it seems like, again, it would be breaking it up into smaller subflows when all we're talking about is just a couple of if statements. Yeah. Like it definitely can be done. I
guess that's the line when you're deciding on which tool to use is is it going to save you time? Is it going to help ensure that code is clean and accurate and give you the results you're looking for?
Let me make sure.
And is this just one of those instances where can it be done in the tool? Absolutely. The script would just be quicker.
I needs to get rid of that decision table. How do I do that?
Very carefully.
Can I just delete you? That appears to have worked. How's it going, Jace? And now I'm going to do the big bad no-no. Delete the evidence.
That's kind of the first time I've had the chance to actually look at the decision tables a little more closely and what they do. So I'm glad that we took a look at that and what it's capable of doing and the possible application here. So thank you for walking us down that trail, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Deleted.
Did you delete all your things?
I am cleaning up a couple things here. Where did it go? This is in the... Now I need the Mothership default. This is not the Mothership default. Right now I'm trying to clean up some of them records so I don't have a bunch of deleted junk traveling with my updates. See, like this guy here, if I get rid of him, it goes away. Open. Delete. Delete. And now, see, it's gone. So I've deleted any...
So we're back to where we were, and we were going to do the...
We were going to do...
Yeah,
what we had...
variables.
What we had was the set flow variables. And we were going to set coordinate X using a script.
And you were looking up how to do that script. And then we were like, oh, decision table.
So
let's see what that can
do you want me to helm this part of it?
Go right ahead.
All right.
You know what the script's going to be, and I'll just sit here and have
I know ballpark what it's going to be. So basically, what I need is...
That's what you put to access the data.
Scrolly.
And you're going to look up the records.
Why is it stuck? Silly scroll bars. All right, so I need the subflow inputs. Actually, let's do it a little bit differently.
You're not making a very clear, instructional video here, sir.
Huh?
You're not making a very clear instructional video here. Do this. No, do this.
let's see. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get that direction off of
the game command record.
The game command record. I have to spell string right. Let x equal. Hold on a second. I need let head x equal to fd data dot subflow inputs dot game command dot coordinate x times 1. And then I need head y. So the head x and head y are the x and y coordinate that the user clicked to place the ship. The direction is the orientation of the ship. Offset x is going to be from our...
I'm still not used to using let.
From our for each item offset x times 1. So that's going to be from the ship cell. That's the offset of the cell. And then we need the offset y.
You're scripting, and I've reverted back to my chatting in chat.
Yay! All right. I'm going to do this in a switch statement. Case. And I need to go to my game command table to look up what the values are. And this here is the inherent problem, or this is the frustrating aspect of using scripts, is you lose all that data pill goodness. Like, what is the value for up? Well, in order for me to find out, I have to come in here and either do an inspect element, or I have to configure the dictionary on it. Okay, it is capitalized. So case up, break, case down, break, case.
And what does break do in this circumstance?
So switch case is basically a bunch of if else's off of the same check. So basically what I'm saying is if direction is up, else if direction is down, else if direction is left. This is the logic.
Oh, so this is like a shorthand.
But the case statement, because JavaScript, if nothing else, loves to make as little sense as possible.
Which is why Jay says he doesn't like it.
It's the only syntax structure in the language that doesn't use the curly braces to define its block, I think. I don't know. There might be others. But like in JavaScript syntax for everything else, it would look like this.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't, because JavaScript comes from C, and C has its own way of doing things.
Special.
So break is just saying end.
It's a pro code situation.
Break is just saying end the case block.
Oh, so it's like the end of the parentheses.
Kinda, yeah.
Why would you not just do that?
Because this is how C does it, if I remember correctly. And JavaScript kind of inherits some of its syntax from C. Okay. So, Lord have mercy, this is going to be a pain in the rear end. All right. Down is going to be the easiest one, because down is my default direction.
Mm-hmm.
So, So if I'm placing the ship in 0, 0, X offset is positive to the right and it's positive down. So in this case, we're just going to take and return. Actually, I don't need break because I'm going to be using a return here. So in this case, coordinate X is going to be head X plus offset X. Now, all right. So in the down direction, our X coordinate is just plus to the right, minus to the left on the X coordinate. Now, if I rotate that to the right, then what was previously moving one block to the right is now moving one block up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. So
this is hurting my brain. So I'll say that. This is not the kind of stuff you do on a stream at 9:30 at night.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
So if I shift that one there, if I were to rotate it, it's actually going up one. Let's see. So my X, if I'm returning the X of this one, it's going to be all right, so if I place that ship there, actually, let me put it in the right here. All right, so if I were to rotate that to the right, instead of being 1, 0, see, this is where I wish that I had kept the original version of the game, because then I would have all these calculations still, and I wouldn't have to refigure it out.
I mean, given we're at an hour, one thing we can do is see if ServiceNow can't give us access to said older version. I can't believe you didn't keep a version of this application. Like, and this is me putting on the wife hat, like, bro. I keep everything because I'm like, I could use that line of CSS later. But like, we could try and get that information from ServiceNow, or we could cheat and do what Jace is saying and ask ChatGPT.
One 0 becomes 0, 1. So let me think about this one a second, because y, let's see, xy becomes y negative x, xy becomes negative y x, xy becomes negative xy, and So here's what I'm thinking. Maybe we calculate our coordinate x, coordinate y, and then we rotate it, rather than trying to perform it all in one step. So I'm going to copy this real quick.
Okay. And then you comment it out just in case you need it, right?
No? Why would I do that? I won't need it. It'll be fine.
I will, like, if I'm working in any kind of widget that's already there, one of my practices is to completely comment out like the code that's there and then copy and paste it. So I've got a version of the original I can go back to whenever I need to. You terrify me. But okay, so we're going to try doing this, breaking up the steps a little bit.
Maybe. I'm experimenting. So basically, at this point, x would simply be head x plus offset x. That's the neutral state. If I were to then rotate it, make a script include that takes 2 inputs. Yeah. Let me try something. And yes, I will paste the. I have captured this. Don't worry.
Even if it's just for my peace of mind.
But I'm going to try something. I wonder if I can. No. Nope, can only do that in bugger. Apparently I can only do that in UI builder.
What were you going to try and do?
I was going to try to put coordinate x and coordinate y into the same object so that I could calculate them at the same time and perform the rotation how I need it. Because it helps to have both of them in the same function, but it doesn't want to cooperate with me on that. So head x return head x plus offset x. All right. Direction is equal to up. If I rotate it up, then the x coordinate is just going to be head x minus offset x. Because the x direction is going to go to the left instead of to the right. Else if direction is equal to right, then x is going, then coordinate x is going to be the y. So it's going to be the head x plus the offset y, I think, because we're going to be, if the ship is pointed to the right, then it's going to be my x position plus my offset y.
Mm-hmm.
And to the left, direction equals left, then return head x minus offset y. I think this is correct. I think this is what I had before. I could be wrong. We're going to try this and see what happens.
It'll work. I'm believing in the heart of the cards.
I mean, the good thing is that this will give us something. This
Yep.
will give us something. And then we can if this is not correct, we can come back and we can fix.
I just won't put this one in the YouTube stream.
No, it'll still be there.
Mm-hmm. We still learned good bits things tonight.
Okay, so head y is going to be that plus offset y. Up is going to be head y minus offset y. To the right, it's going to be my y position. Let's see. If I'm facing to the right,
one hop this time.
let's see. If I rotate it to the right, my left becomes my down. So that'll be, so a negative x would be a positive y. So I think that's going to be minus offset x, and I think this one will be plus offset x. Mm-hmm. I'm not 100% sure on this. It'll get us somewhere in the ballpark.
Like you said, it's a start, and then once we start, like...
So once we calculate those, then I need to look up record.
There was a typo on one of the if lines. Head. It was a HEAX. Go down. 25. Yeah, good catch.
Not that one, this one. Did I do it here too? Yep. Current edit session has expired.
Oh my goodness.
Well, obviously, I'm copying these out.
See, it's always good to keep a copy of your code. I got a ticker for this, Trav.
Okay, it seems happy now. Maybe not. I don't know.
That's why you saved your code. Oh wait. We set the float. Okay, go down.
All right, seems good.
Okay.
All right, so
Terrifies
we
me.
need to look up a game cell where the current game is this game. And the player is that player. And
So now this is back to your typical flow designer logic stuff.
yeah, this is back to the typical flow designer stuff. Too many scroll bars.
We may have to do a little more in-depth talk about that directional stuff. That was kind of
Where
nuts.
row is coordinate Y and column is coordinate X. Don't fail on error because we actually need that information. So this is going to look up whether or not there's already a ship for that player in that cell. If error message is empty. So if a placement collision is detected, we'll do that.
Okay.
Else, we'll follow a different block.
Side conversation going on in the chat just to, enlighten anyone that decides to watch later. Someone in the chat, I forget which one of y'all it was, mentioned the idea of the automatically safe flow, which is a new feature in Washington. And they questioned why it wasn't doing that. I looked it up, that there is a feature that has to be activated that will auto save the flow. Now, the terrifying thing about this is a lot of us like to look at flows and poke around with them, and we don't want to end up saving something when we're not trying to. But if you check out the ServiceNow docs under Save as You Go flows, it looks like it only automatically saves the flows when you do perform certain actions. So just as a side note, that is a feature in Washington that's available, but you do have to activate it, it looks like.
Is there no delete multiple? There is no delete multiple. Okay, so what we'll do instead is we'll look up records. Game cells. So basically, at this point, in this logic, we've detected a collision, so we have to delete all of those records.
You have to basically back it out.
Yeah,
Back out
we,
what you
we, we
created.
basically have to back out the command so far.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to find all game ship cell records.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Look up records for each delete. So for each, with that ship, so matching where the game is the game in the command, the player is the player who issued it, the ship is the ship that they're placing. That's going to give us all the records we need to delete. Then we need to for each through the list of game cells. And for each one, we will do a delete record. Once we complete the for each, then let me go ahead and do a for save. I want to open up our other one because our other one has some of the logic. Okay, so once I've done that, then I need to update the game command. So we're going to update that game command record, and we're going to set the state to error. And then we're going to create our game event record. And we got to fill out all of our little things. Our game, our player, what game command it came from, our, oops, not what we wanted. Event is going to be the, we'll probably need an error type here.
By the way, if you could remind us, when did the cell records get populated with the ship? That was up earlier, right?
We have not done the create a game cell yet. Right now, we're specifically handling the condition of if a collision is detected.
Gotcha.
So we haven't actually created it yet. Which I'm kind of doing the logic a little bit backwards, but backwards is how my brain works most of the time. Yes, exactly. I don't do things the smart way.
That's like one of the gifts that keep on giving. When you said that, the captions are like a great like archive of all the quips.
So here's what I'm going to do. I am actually going to add an event type for ship place failed. And that way in here, I can distinguish, which will probably require a save. Now it's going to make me reload the whole thing. But I don't want to. Edit subflow. There we go. Ship place failed. That way in the UI, we can distinguish between, yay, our ship is placed, and oh no, our ship failed to be placed. And then flow logic, we want to end the flow there. All right, so basically, it's going to look up if there's an existing game cell record. If there is one, if that player has already put something in that game cell, then it is going to delete all of the game cell records that we created for this player for this ship, effectively terminating this command.
Yeah.
We'll update the game
out.
command. We'll update the game command to error, and then we'll create a game event that says, hey, this thing failed. If we do not detect a collision, then what we're going to do is create a game cell record for the game, for that player, for the ship that they placed. I'm not actually going to populate that field. I may end up deleting that field because I can dot walk that. But we do need our row and our column. All right. So then our game is going to be that game. I hate how it collapses the pill every time.
Yeah. I understand it though, because otherwise, like, you end up with a whole bunch of things open that you didn't close because we're not going to close things.
But I want to.
Yeah, you're like the only one.
Travis, you're the only one that wants that.
Like user, like I think about typical user behavior. I'm not gonna go back and like make sure to close it every time. So you end up with this huge accordion with all these things open. That's why, like on the accordion, the UIB Angular Bootstrap accordions, I love that one at a time option. It's beautiful.
All right. So at that point, we will create our game cell record.
Okay.
We will update our game command, or actually, wait, no, we don't want to update the game command here because right now we're iterating. We're going through each game cell. If we successfully create all of the game cell records, in other words, if none of them result in our collision condition, then we update our game command. We set the state to success. We create our game event record, which of course is the one that the UI is watching. Yes, they should have a filter on the right. That would be awesome.
Sorry, I would have posted that, but you were doing like the big brain thinking thing.
My brain hurts.
And when I'm doing that and trying to process and put together logic, if you get interrupted, like the whole string just goes poof. And I didn't want to do that to you.
Game command, the game event, a ship
Jace wants to know if it would make sense to add a subflow to update the game state in the command.
Would it make sense to add a subflow to update game state and command? It could be potentially useful. Yes, I can definitely see where it would potentially be useful to have a subflow for that, since we're going to do this a couple times. Yeah, it could be beneficial. Am I going to do it? Probably not. Player, game command, event is going to be ship placed, and the ship that we placed. Now, the you'll notice that I am not putting the direction and X and Y coordinates on the event table. And that's because the game command table is restricted to the player that's issuing the command. So like players can't see each other's commands, but the event table is basically, if you can see the game record, you can see the events on that game.
Yeah.
So effectively other players would be able to see each
Where
other's
you're
placements
Yeah.
if I copied that data to this table. And that kind of illustrates the separation between the internal tables and the public game facing tables.
All right.
All right. So with that, I'm going to force save that for now. It is 10 o'clock at this point, so we'll worry about testing this next time, because that script, these scripts right here are probably wrong. I am probably going to have to rework those.
You can do that offline and we'll recap.
Well, I think next time we can turn around and we can actually come in and test it, rework the scripts.
Oh, okay.
Figure
it's good
out
to see
what
the
that
testing
needs to be.
process.
Yeah.
See all the mess. Don't forget to force save. But okay, so we're at a point where we save it, and then we got to do our commit to Git. Jace wants to know if the repo is public yet, and I don't believe it is. I think we're waiting till we get further along to make it public.
I don't remember. I'll have to check. Does everything for flows carry in the flow record? I'm not magically missing anything, am I? Because that would be tragic. All right.
We haven't done anything special to ensure that before.
All right, so we'll push that. Okay, all flow stuff is in the flow record. Meaning it's horrible to look at the updates. As far as the Git repo goes,
share your password with the world.
I'm not going to.
Oh, you found the same or is that me? That's me. How are you start looking at my thing there? That's not what I look like. I don't have that window open.
Because it's showing whichever one you shared earlier.
Oh, okay. I should probably unshare, shouldn't I?
Well, no, not necessarily.
Oh, that's what I was doing. Yep. Okay.
I was just
I was using
you as a.
Sorry.
I was using you as a screen for my passwords and stuff.
Oh, well, glad to be of service.
Let's see. Is there a way to open it from here?
I don't believe so.
No.
We'll have to take a look and figure out if it's public or not. I don't think you've made it public yet. I think you would have mentioned that.
Well, I don't remember if I created it private or not.
I think you did, because the idea was like to get it to a point or whatever, but I could be wrong.
Settings, visibility. Where's my visibility stuff?
Jay says it's not public. He went looking for it. You have external validation.
Discussion. No, it is public.
Oh.
So,
well, fine then. External validation changed its mind.
So I'll post that link in the chat. That's the Git repo for it so far. But yeah, so next time I think we'll continue working on this place ships command. It's
this has some pretty sticky logic to it.
Yeah, this one is probably the most complicated one, because like the take turn is just going to look up the game cell. Like, is there a ship in the cell? If so, hit it. Now there's also like the win condition check, and like there's a couple of condition checks in that one, but there's no math. And that's what makes this one sticky, is the math.
Yeah, we'll get it. We'll have to look and reconfigure it and all that. But tonight, I think even if we got stuck on that, we still got to learn and explore a few things. We got to take a look at decision tables and what they're capable of, and those transform functions was really neat to suss those out and take a look at those as a possibility. And then along with getting through more of the logic and seeing some of the stickier cases where you may choose to use scripting instead of the low code tools. That's a good thing to like take a look at and keep in mind. It's almost like I took notes on this, but I didn't, which is weird. And then we had a great question that came up about the auto saving feature in Flow Designer, which is something that has to be activated, which I don't know if you have that activated or not. And that only actually saves on certain actions. So you can open your flows and not have to worry about them auto saving on you.
And then Chase had a question. The thing you put up was the game action of place ship. Yes, this is the subflow that will handle the place ship command. And the place we have the scripts is down in here. So we're calculating the coordinate X and coordinate Y specifically for basically each ship has a configuration. So this ship occupies 4 different cells, and these are the relative coordinates relative to wherever the user clicks. But yeah, that's essentially what this particular flow was handling that specific action, which is in the course of the battleship game. It's that right there. It's clicking to place, and this one's not mine. This is just an example online. So basically, when I click, it sends the coordinate X, coordinate Y that I clicked, and the direction or orientation that the ship is in when I place it. Based on that, the command will update the data model. So yeah, this one's a doozy. Take turn. Take turn's going to be semi-simple, and I'm just going to throw some stuff in here for this guy. Take turn is just basically click to fire. So, is it your turn? If so,
click and check if the click has a ship in it.
Click, did you hit? If you hit, did you sink? If you sunk, did you win? is going to be the logic of the take turn. And once we have those, once we can confirm that this command is working and the take turn is working, we should be able to move on to UI from there. I mean, we could create the leave game command, but it's just not important to the core flow of the game.
Which is good, because I am so ready to see the GraphQL stuff and the UI builder stuff and everything. I had a talk at the same time as your lab at Knowledge this year, so I couldn't even go to the lab. So this has been great.
And I'm actually going to like grab this URL and put this in the chat so I can like find it next time. Because this has been really useful for explaining what's going on. You know, what the basics of the UI will be once we have it built out from our standpoint. So, but yeah, one of the cool things about this layout here, about this particular style of doing the coordinates, is that the ships don't have to be in a straight line like these are. Like, they don't have to be in a straight line. Like the Death Star is a square, 1, 2, 3, 4. But you could also conceivably have ships that have a different and entirely different layout, like disconnected layouts. So it offers up some cool opportunities for what you can do regarding the ships and the ship layouts, which is pretty neat. They're baking the cake, and at the very end, it will be a competition.
we gotta like compare the time on service portal. We did decide, though, you and I talked about this at length, because yes, I would love to do some of it on either one, but in order to get an accurate idea of how long they take, you want to have the same skill set sitting there and doing it. So
yeah, and fortunately,
and that's not a knock on my skill. It's just like,
it's just we want to compare Travis to Travis, not Travis to Sarah. Like to compare UI Builder to Service Portal, we have to control the other variables in the experiment. So
no, the ship shapes are not offensive. They're not great, but they're not offensive. This was my first stab at pixel art. I should try and refine those for you before we get to that.
But from here, we should be able to kind of have you take back over the Flow Designer stuff, and have you build out the remaining aspects of the flows. The only reason I took over was because we
went to decision table
land. So we were diving into some new stuff that even I haven't really touched before. So we let me do the exploring and making a fool of myself.
It was a beautiful thing to behold. But I mean, honestly, I would have been doing the same thing. You would have seen me diving into the docs a little more.
Well, see, I watched the last Platform Code Academy, I think it was, or I think is the title of it.
Oh, see, I haven't got to that yet.
So like I had some familiarity with the UI. I've seen it before. I know the basic concepts of it. I just had to remember what I saw.
Yeah. But this has been great. I've really appreciated driving, because like I said before, I like that it makes you be a little more overt with the directions that you give and things like that. And I am getting a lot more comfortable. I am getting a lot more comfortable with using the Flow Designer.
Nope, we're not an AI.
No, we're not an AI. No, well, one of us is running our mouth. The other one is. We got asked in the chat if we were an AI. No, like no. Well, one of us, and that's one of us is running our mouth. The other one will like handle chat and things like that. And honestly, that's one of the reasons I originally got involved was to help with handling the chat and the commentary and all that kind of stuff. The other reason was because when he originally started, I ended up in the background of the videos because of how his desk was situated in our house so much. I was like, I'm going to make stupid comments anyway. Might as well pull up a chair.
Yeah, you were kind of there no matter what. So
Yeah. And I get to talk about UI UX stuff, which, you know, I'll always take a opportunity to get up on that what do you call it? Grandstand on that or what have you. So,
yep. So I think that'll conclude us for tonight. And then like I said, next time we'll actually test this out and watch it break spectacularly, more than
it'll
likely.
be beautiful. If
Yeah.
code doesn't break, you're not really developing.
So that's kind of what we can look forward to next time. So thanks a lot, everybody, for joining. Glad to have you all as always, and hope to see you next time.
All right. Have a good one. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.